Hello all, how's it going today? Back for another quick update here on the Alien CV and a couple other little topics I wanted to bring up. One being a pretty major bug at this moment in time pertaining to LCDs. Uh, but this is where it's at now. I got pretty much the entire body textured and I've made a lot of tweaks to what was there already. One of the areas that's all kind of new and textured up now is this back section over here. I do like how this part came out. I like the detail on it. A lot of block transitions and shapes and things like that. Another big area that was kind of done up was the back of the ship. Got in a couple turret mount positions up here in the sides. I have a available one here, I suppose. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep it because it could interfere with flying ships into the back hangar door. So it may or may not be that way. Now when I get to the bottom side, I'm going to add probably the existing turrets over there. And I don't believe I'm going to have any more on the top side of the ship besides what you see here already. Now, a couple other things that were brought up in the comments too was the front and the lights and things like that. And I did have these removed, and I'm not sure why I did it. I know I was reshaping this front section like a third time, and I think in the process I sort of cut those lights out, thinking maybe I had too many or something like that. But I put them back, so it's got the same type of 4 lights as the Creel gas does. In fact, this whole shape over here is very similar to what the smaller ship looks like. Another thing I did is I cut the carpet texture out of the build. It wasn't looking good, and I did a lot of coloring to this. So now we got different tones of purple and grays and things that kind of go over the body line of the ship, trying to give it a little bit more detail. And if you guys build stuff too, you probably know that all these angles like this, they're extremely hard to like get a texture on them because nothing really likes to line up very good on it. Of course, I'd like to add in more textures here, but I was experimenting with some things like putting these in at different angles, but I can only do it every other block because the middle blocks align different than the other ones. So things like that. Oh, excuse me. But I think I like it better now with the coloring. And of course, when it's dark out too, this looks pretty much black. But when you have like broad daylight like this, you can kind of see some of the purple. I did that even back over here too. There's actually 3 different tones of purple. So each one of these like ribs kind of fades. It starts a little bit more intense, and then it fades out as it keeps on going, just for a subtle little effect. But other areas of the ship too, I'm looking at trying to spruce up, and that would be like over here. I don't really like what I got going on there at the moment. Oh man, and yeah, allergy's been kicking my butt, so it's I apologize for that. Nose keeps on running, so I'm trying to do a video and have to always blow my nose and stuff. Fun times. But yeah, I'm getting pretty happy with how it's all coming out. And next big part is to tackle the interior. And here and there, I'm going to try to do some more body mods and keep on trying to tweak it out and make it look better, especially in places. Now another thing that I started is a POI, and this is probably, I think I'm going to go with the alien theme again with this, as it probably makes more sense. But I'm building this structure differently, and where I'm kind of building the interior and the exterior at the same time while building the blocks for it, so I can come up with a course. And basically this is going to be like a dungeon. So the objectives of it pretty much is like say this is the main entrance of the building here. I'm going to go for a lot of angled and curved hallways and things like that. I'm trying to like kind of not have much in this squarish. So I mean, like everything around the edges here would be kind of round, and I'm going to continue that. Now it's going to go up and it's going to go down in places. It's going to have little side rooms, but it's going to have a main course. Some of the rooms are going to be open, where you could have like a larger room firefight, and then other areas are going to be like hallways. Um, and I might even try to get some like kind of hard to find secret rooms in here, maybe for some extra loot as you're going through it. But fun build, very fun build. Not concerned about anything about price, about function for where things are or whatnot. It's just going to be a big course POI to shoot the bad guys and collect loot from, and it'll grow in size. And I'm just doing everything asymmetrical, and like each little section is a little different than the other section, and basically I'm going to try to design the interior layout and then build the exterior of the building to fit that as I go, essentially making like a more of a level design kind of thing. But that's how it's starting out so far. Really embraced a lot of the angled and curved blocks again. In fact, just about everything is angled on this, and was kind of messing with some, I don't know, just weird block combinations over here to create some different looking effects, like these angled windows and this curved stuff with the I don't know, just going off. A lot of fun doing that kind of thing, and we'll see how it comes out in the end, though. Now, a couple other things that I wanted to bring up too. It was brought up in the comments about the texture tools and this new texture and color tool. And I got to say, I really don't use this new tool. Because my process typically has been to, I first do the block shaping, and then I go through and I texture it, and then after that I end up coloring it. I don't typically color it and texture it at the same time. In fact, that really screws me up if I try. Just to test this, I want to see if it's working okay. Yeah, there's a problem with it I didn't like before. So here, let me just pick some random texture here. Okay, so let's pick a color as well. So basically, you can't seem to pick both of them at the same time when you're in the tool either. So say I pick this. So currently I have that texture picked right here, and then a blue color. So if I do that, so it doesn't both at the same time, which I could see that as a time saver if you happen to know exactly what color you want there when you're texturing it. But where I had a problem before is, say I didn't want to change the texture anymore, I'd select this over here, which I would assume would be no texture at all. And you can see in the bottom right that it's set that way. But, okay, so it actually worked this time. Well, that's good. So it just did the color, that did not replace the texture. That was the big problem I had with the tool in the past. But it looks like that's been fixed. Before, when I would set it to that null texture, it would still replace the texture. So it was a real chore. But that's kind of how it's done. However, I guess I'm so used to using the old school tools where they're separated that I still been. I tried this a couple times, but I don't know. It's just in the way I build things, I don't like to try to do the color and the texture at the same time. It could be a time saver though, here and there. But when you're even this ship here, I know it looks mostly purple and like blackish, but I mean, if you look at the color palette, and that's something else that was brought up in the comments too, is the color palette, and how do you do the different colors. Like if you see with the ship here, all these colors here and this row across here are all custom, and there are a whole bunch of different shades of like grays to purples. Now in this build, I'm actually not using this set over here. This was used on the alien base, but on the CVs, I kind of scrapped the idea because I don't have the concrete texture that I was using these textures with, or the concrete material, I should say. But what I do a lot of times is, let's say for instance, I want to make a new color over here. You gotta pick what's here and replace it. So a lot of different ways I could do this. A lot of times I'll start with like a particular color. So say I like this, I want an orange. So over here you have your hue, and that's what the H is. So this will go through like your rainbow of colors here. Say I want to get it over to like an orange there. Okay, is that the next option here, S, is saturation. That's how intense do you want that particular color. So if you go all the way down, it will turn to white. If you go all the way up, it'll turn to a more intense version of that. V, forgive me, I don't exactly know what that stands for, but what it translates to is intensity. So as you can tell, when I lower down the V, it's lowering down the intensity of that particular color. Now also, these top three are basically separate from the bottom three. The bottom three, RGB, is your red, green, blue. And if you want to just dial in a color to particular numbers, you can adjust each one of these sliders to increase the green or the red or the blue to come up with colors that way. And once you have that set, you just hit OK, and now that color's in your palette. A lot of times what I do, like with these fades, is I'll hop in here and say I wanted different shades of green. So I will copy this. I will go to like another color. I will paste it, and then I will modify something with it. In this case, say I wanted it a little bit darker, so I'll just tone this down a little bit so there's a different shade of green. So say I was texturing that. Now I have two different versions of a custom green color. Now also in here you can there's some options up top here, and you can add custom color palettes. Now one side effect to this is it only seems to save them in the particular game that you're in. So if I started like a new creative game, all my custom color palettes go bye-bye. But I can make a custom color palette here, and then anything that I'm building with this theme, I could basically set that to be the current color palette for whatever I'm working on. That's kind of the options behind it. Thing is, I do change, I guess I open up different survival games fairly often, just to refresh everything and start fresh on projects so I don't have too much clutter around. And if there's any game updates, sometimes that helps too. If you use the same one for a long period of time and there's been a bunch of game updates, you never know, things might start breaking. So that's I typically end up copying colors still from another ship to one that I'm trying to make, most of the time. I have copied the palette a couple times. Okay, so another big topic here is LCDs, and this is really problematic currently. It was introduced, this bug was introduced fairly recently. It didn't used to be the case. I just want to spawn one other thing. Recently I redid this MX-15 some, and I got it up to Alpha 10 specs with a shield and kind of redid the interior on it and added the new storage. A big problem I had when I was doing this ship is I could not copy any LCDs, and I still can't. I just tested that before this video, and for instance, say I want to copy my storage bay LCD over here, and let me just I'll just even put in a new LCD real quick. So say I slap down same size LCD over here, and we hop in here and I go to paste it. Now I'm using Control C to copy and Control V to paste. It just doesn't work. And at first I thought it was my computer. Maybe I had a virus. Maybe I had some weird keylogger or some wacky thing screwing with my computer and copy and paste. But then I backed out of the game and everything works fine in like Notepad or any other program. Just Empyrion is where I have the problem. So actually when I was building this ship, I had a delay on that because I couldn't copy over my signs. So I ended up having to manually remake every single one of these signs. And that's why they're probably a little bit simpler than what I would normally have. And I was going to try to do some things with the sizes and come up with like a new sign layout, but I scrapped the idea when I couldn't copy paste anything. It was just too much of a problem. So basically, there's a website out there that has all these symbols and all the different characters that you can put on the Empyrion LCD signs, and you copy and paste those symbols, and that part still works. Like I can copy like the character for this block, and I can paste it to an LCD. But if I try to copy the LCD and put it to another spot, can't do it at all right now. And I really hope that gets fixed because what a pain in the butt. And essentially what should have taken me just a couple minutes to get all the LCDs in place, it took me about 45 minutes because I had to remake every single one of these signs from scratch. And it was kind of a deterrent on trying to get this ship out, but I decided to just bite the bullet and do it anyway so I could get it out to the workshop. So please, Elion, fix that. That's a big problem, especially now too. I mean, there's some authors put out some really cool blueprints with all kinds of LCD art and fancy displays and stuff like that, but you can't use them right now because you can't copy and paste them. So big problem. And that's it's worrying me a little bit on this ship, but I'm at least probably a good week away from dealing with LCDs on it yet. So I'm hoping that problem gets fixed up so I don't have to try to manually recreate every single sign that's going to be in the thing, and there's probably going to be quite a lot being a capital ship. Something I'm not looking forward to. But yeah, that's about it for the for today. If you got any questions, please let me know. There was another comment too that I absolutely agree with, and it was like talking about this ship, and it said it needs more shinies, and I agree, and I get what you mean by that too. I really do. Like, for instance, in my eyes, this area here looks pretty shiny to me because it's got a lot of intricacy, a lot of detail and shapes and stuff like that. Now this part, I will say, is very costly towards size class. I used a lot of expensive blocks, basically any of your curves. These things I think we've proven that are outrageously expensive towards size class, but you know, they look nice, at least you know, so I wanted to use them anyway, and I don't really care about size class on this build. But if I did, I probably wouldn't have done that. So that's something. And other areas of the ship too, I'm eyeballing that I think need improvement is like this trunk over here. I don't like what I got going on here. This weird angle that kind of floats into nowhere, and I don't know. I think if I screw around for a while, I can come up with something that looks better there. But that's about it for today. I just kind of wanted to show you this stuff. Now tomorrow, I do plan on doing an actual tutorial, and I'm thinking it's going to be on getting the like base layout done on the interior, trying to fit in like where the farm's going to go and how the hallways are going to be, and getting around the ship. And I'm also still thinking about how I want to try to tackle like some quick launch bays in here. But the thing is, I would like it to work with the existing ships I already have, as opposed to making new, like, custom one-of-a-kind ships just to fit the bays. And that's kind of a dilemma because I'm not really sure I'm going to pull it off. Now, one idea I do have is to end up changing this area a little bit and putting in those new ramps, kind of like this, but bigger. There are some pretty big ones for CVs, so you could literally park on top, say with a tank or even an SV, and then maybe flip a switch or something to drop that down, so you could like run right out of the front fairly quickly, or drop down from the sky. But yeah, not sure how I'm going to pull that off yet, or how that would work out. But it's definitely something I want to try to get in this ship. I think it'd be a really neat feature to have. Um, all right. Well, anyway, y'all have a good day. Hope you enjoyed this quick little video on a couple things. And yeah, if you got any information about any of that, about the LCDs too, it seems to be very problematic. And I've seen comments on the workshop and whatever that other people are having the same problem. So I now realize it's not something to do with my computer, which I originally thought. Um, and it sucks. That does suck. So, all right. Have a good day, all. See you later.